Hello, Hollywood Times viewers. Judy Shields here. Today, we welcome a powerhouse in the music world, recognized for her chart-topping hits and creative ventures, and who has announced her launch of her online course, Spark Your Creativity: The Steps to a Successful Creative Journey, which is designed for creatives from all walks of life and careers, allowing participants to tap into and discover their creative potential. I need that. So it's Kirsti Manna. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm here in a very humid Nashville. I don't know what your weather is like out there where you are, but it's hot.
We're out here in Los Angeles, and we've had few hundred. This past weekend was 100-degree weather, but we don't have the
Ooh,
humidity. I was in Nashville the first part of June for 10 days, and it's beautiful. But oof, boy, you get that rain, and all of a sudden you go outside, you're like, ew.
I know. It is you. I get it. That doesn't do good with our hair.
That's it. And I'm like, boy, I came back with curly hair. My hair was like, poof.
I love
Oh my
it.
goodness. Well, thank you for joining us. I love your background there.
Well, thank you. This is my office at my house, and I do a lot of writing up here on this piano and have a nice grand piano in another part of the house. And I know a lot of people comment on the color of this room, and it's some kind of a coral color, but I
It's
think when it
pretty.
shoots, it's a little bit deeper. But anyway, thank you.
It's pretty. I also want to mention to our viewers here, Christie's 6-week Billboard #1 smash hit, Austin, not only introduced country sensation Blake Shelton, which we've all heard of Blake, to the airwaves, but also showcased her talent as a co-writer and co-producers through her company. Christy, is it Mana Songs?
Yeah, it's Kirsti Manna Songs. Yeah, my
Mana
company's called
Songs.
Kirsti Manna Songs, right?
I'm telling you, that song was crushed my heart. It was amazing. What
Um,
inspired you to write that song?
Well, it's a really interesting story. A lot of people ask me about it, and those of you listening and watching out there, if you remember having an answering machine,
Yeah.
it actually was a message that one of my co-writers, he left for his girlfriend. They broke up and she moved back to Texas, and so he said, "If this is Austin, I still love you," because that's where she lived. And a lot of
Oh,
people said, "Oh, is the person's name Austin? Who's Austin?"
yeah.
So that's what that was about. Well, I went to his house and said, we should write this title. If this is Austin, I still love you. He goes, well, I don't want to write any more songs about my dated love affairs. And I said, oh, you've got to be kidding me. He said, no. I said, can I have the idea? He goes, yeah, I don't want it. Okay. So I went over the next day. I think it was the same week. I
Yeah.
was writing with David Kent, who's my co-writer on the song, and told him about it. And he said, you got to be kidding me. He doesn't want that idea. I said, no. He goes, okay. So we wrote it. And you know, when you write a song, you go, okay, I really think this is great. And then David did a really great work demo of it. And then his publisher at the time was Jana Talbot. She pitched it to then A&R person Debbie Zavitson. It's got quite a story on Giant Records. She was really into Blake Shelton at the time, had just signed him. And then exactly what happened, like what can happen all the time in this town, the label closed and he got picked up by Warner Brothers, which was connected to Giant. So we really lucked out. And then it really got going after that.
It's an
So
amazing song. Oh,
thank you.
what a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's so
And
nice to meet
I will say
you.
this too, and the story didn't end as well in real life as it does in the song. In real life, um, my friend and his girlfriend never got back together. She ended up marrying somebody else. So
Aw.
I know.
That happens. It's happened to me 3 times in my life. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then
Wow.
all three of them got divorced and came back and wanted a second chance.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, I have to write a book or write a song.
I called a wedding off before I married my husband, Bill Warner,
Yeah.
but I never had somebody come back 3 times and want to marry me. That's really nice. You are obviously a fabulous person if they kept coming back.
I know I keep telling myself, Lord, they keep coming back. Why didn't they ask me the first time?
Yeah.
And the last one ended up getting married 2 other times between me. He came back the third time. I'm like, okay, dude, no more.
Yeah. It's been nice
He
knowing
just
you.
divorced the third wife. And I'm like, we'll be
Oh
friends.
my goodness.
Yes. Isn't this crazy?
Wow.
I'm gonna have to talk to you more often and give you some more song ideas.
Yeah, call me once a week.
Yes. You're gonna just become even more famous with all of my antics.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh well, one day God's gonna put the right man in front of me.
Yes, yes, he's out there.
So in the meantime, I do this. I love meeting people, talking to people. And look, I got to meet the wonderful woman who wrote this amazing song that I so loved.
Oh, that's so great. Well, thank you so much. You know, that's the whole thing too. When you write a song, you always want, I do anyway, I always want it to move somebody in some way. And so, those of us that create anything, and especially, some kind of something that's tangible, like a song or piece of art or whatever, book, when people, you know, connect with it, you want to make sure you hope and pray that it moves them in some way, moves them to something, it makes
Yeah.
them feel something. And we had so many people come to us after that song was out, that had stories of love affairs that went bad and they got back together. And so
Yeah.
it was cool.
It's very cool. And me, I'm like, I'm looking at your background and I can't help. I'm gonna have to ask because it's gonna drive me crazy. You got a clock that looks like it's melted over your shelf, What
Oh
is
yeah.
that?
Isn't that funny? My husband gave me that.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. I think it might need a new battery.
No, but it's just like I'm looking at that going, that is so freaking cool.
Thank you.
Those are the kind of clocks they need in out here in Palm Springs in India where it gets to be 120 some degrees. So those are the
That would
dream
be a
clocks
funny
for
thing.
people.
Yeah, that'd be a funny thing for you to have.
Very funny. Well, so I guess there's so much that you've done in your career. So let's
Thank
talk
you.
about Spark Your Creativity, the steps to a successful creative journey. So is that like an online course? What is that?
It is. It's an online course, and I created it because I had experienced so much in my own creative life. Sometimes when people think when you have success, they're people see you like in the moment, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
they don't know all the things that you've gone through. But I had an experience when I was in college where I had trouble with my vocal cords. I couldn't sing for a long time. I wasn't even allowed to talk. And
Wow.
when I was in college, I was walking around with a notepad and writing everything down because I couldn't talk. I wasn't supposed to talk. And so that was a really scary time for me. I wanted to share that story about myself with people. And when I was hot in the throes of doing my Songwriter Girl camps, which basically kind of got stopped in their tracks because of COVID, like so many things,
Yeah.
one of my big things was having people, helping them lose the fear. And so many people don't create because they're afraid. They're afraid, there's all the reasons why. They're afraid that nobody's going to like what they create. They're afraid that people are going to laugh at it, whatever it is. So the three things in my course there's basically three sections to it. There's 7 modules, Judy,
Okay.
but it's discover, identify, and then tap into your true potential. And so with Songwriter Girl, it was kind of an offshoot of that for me. With Songwriter Girl, I wanted people to be empowered by what they wanted to create, what they had to say. And it was about writing songs and learning things about the music business. But for me, it was really about empowering people to do something wonderful with their creative gifts, whether it was just to dabble in it or whether it was to go to greater heights, because I think there's a big pressure for people in that if they have a creative gift, they think, well, I'm supposed to be making millions of dollars from this, or if
Mhm.
I'm not making money from it, I'm not successful in it. And so this course is really just about helping you go through the steps. And it's really a self-discovery thing. I don't know if you ever read The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Did you ever read that book?
The Artist's
The
Way. No,
Artist's Way.
I'm writing
It's
it down. No. Oh my God.
when I
Thank
studied
you.
acting, it was one of the required readings of this master class I took. And that book really changed my creative life. It really made
Wow.
me think in such a different way about myself as an artist. It was, and it was really about, people say dig deep, but it was really about digging into yourself, and that's what this course is about, because that book has always been a big inspiration to me. And the course includes videos from me, it includes music, it includes worksheets, it includes bonus folders and all kinds of things to inspire the participant in the course. And if anybody wants to sign up for the course, they can just go to my website, kirsty.com, find it there. It lives at Thinkific, so you can go to Thinkific and find it. But the easiest way is to go on my website and go through
So it's
there.
KIRSTI.com.
Kirsty, yes,
Yeah. So
kirsty.com,
it's just for me.
KIRSTI.com.
That's
I don't
great.
know how I got that, but the first person that
What?
ever built my website way back when, they got that for me, and there it is. So,
Yeah, you got lucky. It's like, but wait a minute.
yeah,
It always has to be your last name or a bunch of other stuff. And
yes,
so super
yes.
cool. Well, then, from all your career that you've been doing, did you just one day have a dream that this is what you were going to do next, and then you did it? And who helped you put this all together? Was your husband behind it? Who's
Yeah, he helped me. We actually shot all of the video at our place. And then a friend of mine up in Ohio, I'm originally from Ohio,
oh,
to any of your listeners out there. We're originally from, both my husband Bill and I are from around Youngstown, Ohio. And
okay.
so one of my friends that is a brilliant guy who lives up there, he had done a lot of work with putting together online courses, actually for life flight for air med kind of companies. And so he really knew how to do it. And so I created, and Bill helped me, of course, create all the content. And then he put it into Thinkific, where, like I said, which is where it lives, where you take the course.
Oh my goodness. So then how long is your course? Like if we started it tomorrow, what would it be? Is it
Well,
all
it really
in?
takes as long as you want it to
Okay.
take. It's not a thing where I say you got to do this in a week.
Okay.
You could take a month to do it, 6 months to do it, however long
Oh,
you
okay.
want to take.
Yeah.
And I really think it's a course where, from as your life progresses, as your creativity changes in your life, you could take that course over again, and there would be something different, that you would be
Oh.
discovering about yourself. So the course was created in that way, so it's kind of evergreen in a sense, even for the participant.
Yeah, it sounds like I gotta take that course. I'm getting to where hopefully next year I get to retire from my day job, and I really
Okay.
love doing this interviewing and meeting people, and I said I want to be able to do that and
Mm,
not stop myself, and I do want to make you know some money so I can live on. So yeah,
sure.
it sounds like something might be right up my alley to take and help me to all this creativity that's stuck all in here to come out.
Oh, well, I hope you do. And the whole thing about being a creative person is, when you're creative, you want to be creative with a lot of things. And
Yeah,
um, I just always think there's a way to make a living from being creative. There's people making great livings doing all kinds of things, being creative, and you'll see them in a story on the news, or you'll read about them online, and
yeah,
you'll go, wow, now that's a really creative way to make money. But it's just that they knew how to tap into their gifts and really make something of it, and they found other people that were tapping into the same thing as them. you know Everybody's an expert, in my opinion, at something. And if you're an expert at something, there's all these other people that are interested in what you have to talk about, whether it's scuba diving or how to make an apple pie or whatever it is. I mean, it can just seem like a very small gift that you have, but that gift can really expand to something great, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah.
And I really believe um, there are so many people in the world that are unhappy and they're unfulfilled, and they don't
Yeah,
know how to get into themselves, so to speak. And fear, I believe, is a big part of it, because people are
yes.
afraid, once again, that somebody's going to reject them, or somebody's not going to think it's good enough. And all of us creatives, like, let me just speak for songwriting.
Oh, yes.
Every songwriter that sits down to write every single day, they believe that they can be better every day. They can
Yeah,
get better every day, because some days you write and it's song's not that great. Some days you write and it's really something that it makes you feel like it's something that the world can use, that can is a real good message, or it makes people happy, it's funny, whatever it is. So I just think that is something that the people really need to get into. And that was really why I wrote this course, because I saw so many people
Oh,
that, came through Songwriter Girl Camp, for example, and just
yeah.
others who don't know how to get out of their own way.
Yeah,
So,
see, I guess things happen for a reason. Yeah, I
yeah,
happened to know your publicist and she reached out to me, and then
yeah.
otherwise I wouldn't have heard from you. When I was younger, I went into what they call ROP. It's like a course you could do in high school, and I went into nursing and I was good at it. I was smart. I had my instructor, which was a head nurse, and I dealt with all kinds of things, but I could handle anything. Change a bedpan, nothing bothered me. But I saw a little 2-year-old girl who came in who had died in a car accident. And
Oh
this,
my,
it was during like a
yeah.
trauma training. And when that was going on with college students with fake blood and all this, an accident, a truckload of kids came in. And to have seen them all was one thing. I mean, arms, it didn't bother me seeing them, but boy, it sure bothered me seeing her. Couple months later, I had to deal with couple of my elderly patients dying, and I had a hard time with death because I hadn't experienced it yet in my
Of
life. No
course.
grandparents, no aunt, nothing. And I
Mhm.
wish that that instructor and the doctors would have told me, had said the right thing, but they more or less told me, if you can't handle it, you're done. And so I became a failure to me. I studied
Oh,
hard. I already signed up for nursing school, and I had to change my career, and it was hard for me. And then I learned calligraphy. I could do calligraphy in Old English. Taught myself in junior high. So I started a business doing that in the 80s. I was
wow.
doing restaurant menus, parties. I mean, I was doing great. And then the computers came along and you could do the fonts. And so I wasn't getting the work anymore. So there
Hmm.
to me was yet another failure. So it's just been all of these things, a failed marriage. I lost my mom 30 years ago this month, and it
Oh.
changed me because she was my biggest supporter and everything. And then when she was gone, I didn't my dad passed away 2 years ago, and being able to do this, at least it gives me joy to be able to
Yeah.
meet people, and then here meeting you, that I think is going to hopefully change my life by taking your course.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Well, and there are reasons, I guess, why things happen to us in our life, but I never think it's a good idea for somebody I'll tell someone they're not good at something, because, nobody knows your heart like you do.
I know, and I wish I hadn't
And
listened to them.
yeah, and well, now you're doing something wonderful. You're talking to people and you're nurturing them, and you're letting them share their inspirations and their stories, and that's a really big thing, because your story sounds really interesting to me, and I, of course, would say, well, I believe there's probably people out there that need somebody to write actually in calligraphy. There are people out there who are old
Yeah.
school, computers can't do all the things that
Yeah.
humans can do, obviously, and it's so hard to lose our parents, because we feel like orphans, and there's no way to describe to somebody, especially when you have good relationship with your parents, like I did, what it's like to lose them. And
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever get over the thing of thinking, I could call my mom like right now, you
I
know
know. Oh,
that feeling will never, ever, ever go away from me. And luckily, I have a sister. We're very close, and
yeah.
we both had a great relationship with our mom. And so, we have all those memories. And
Yes.
it's funny how sometimes, if you have somebody too that's a friend that knew your
Yeah.
parents,
Oh, yeah.
that's very comforting too, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, I have too. And they're the ones who are always like, come on, stop self-doubting yourself. You can do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's so true, to have people around you that are kind of a team or that are cheerleaders. No matter how much we smile and feel self-assured, it's always wonderful to have people around us that, can tough love us a little bit, if we start crying the blues.
Yeah.
So we all do it. I mean, to look at you with your happy smile, I would never think that
Oh,
you didn't have a happy moment all the time. So
thank
everybody has things they've gone through that bring them down, and can
you. Yeah.
make you doubt yourself. And so you know, I hope you find all these wonderful things you want and expect to find after you get retired, and and you hit the $1 million idea, girl.
I know, it's just like, okay. I love the fact that God gives me my day. I wake up because he's
Yeah,
given me that. And it's,
yeah.
and I have three grandsons, 21, 14, and 5.
Wow.
My son and his wife live with me with those kids, and I can't imagine life without them. And
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah, so at least
Well,
I
and
have
that's
that.
something else too, in talking about the course and just in an attitude of life, I've always thought the gratitude attitude was a really good thing, and the whole thing of finding joy. And it's like when you have gratitude and when you do something that's selfless to help somebody, or it can just be the smallest thing. I mean, I've written songs about this, where you just say hello to somebody who seems lonely or this kind of thing. It gives you so much joy, and that just comes back in 500 fold, I believe.
Oh, so well, when you were a young girl, what was your dreams then?
Oh, when I was
Younger.
a young kid, my whole thing was about being on Broadway. I was in
Really?
music. Yeah. I got into theater. My mom saw my singing talent, and so I'd actually perform at garden clubs and things like that, but I got into musical theater when I was only 10 years old. And the first thing I was in was The Sound of Music, which was such a great play, and the music's so wonderful. And
Yeah.
my mom was always a big fan. I swear my mother loved music more than anybody I've ever known, but my mother loved music, and she was always playing music in the house, playing records and recordings and stuff and musicals, and took my sister and I to see musicals all the time when we were
Wow.
kids. So that was my dream, was to be a Broadway actress. I really wanted to do that as a kid. And as I got into high school, I was still working in theater and musicals and stuff. And then when I got out of high school, I decided to go to college. And this is when I had the vocal trouble, was in college. And I changed my major from a voice major to a piano major. And so I graduated with a bachelor's degree in music ed from Youngstown State. And as I was finishing college, I thought, I really don't want to teach school. And I wanted to get my degree anyway. So I did. And then I did a little bit of substitute teaching here or there, but I never had a job teaching school. And it's funny that fast forward many years later, I got so involved with Songwriter Girl and mentoring other girls and women and young writers and young artists, which is really like teaching. You're teaching them things that you've learned, and the hard knocks and what to avoid, and just I'm just all about trying to encourage people, because I think it is so hard to be a creative person in this world and stay true to yourself. So many people in Nashville that are artists, they get so pulled in so many different directions because they want to be successful, and they forget, and maybe they've never really had somebody help them and encourage them to really be their own person and be their own artist. And that can be really hard for young people, because I think they are so, and especially with social media, not that I'm
Yeah.
against it at all,
No, no, yeah.
but there's so many kids that get, you know, what's the word I want to say? They're not encouraged. They play the comparison game,
Yes.
and so they spend more time comparing than they do in really figuring out who they really are. It takes a long time to do that. You've got to
Yeah.
grow up a little bit to, you've got to write a lot of songs. You've got to sing a lot of songs. You've got to play a lot of shows to figure out, what really resonates for you.
Yeah, I had a interview earlier with a guy from a band called the War Hippies, and he was in the military, way
Oh,
back
that's a
when.
great name for a band. I'll have to check
Yeah,
them out.
right. War Hippies. And it's just and he decided he wanted his goal was to be a lifer, 20 years in the Marines. And he went to dealt with the 9/11, Iraq and all that. And he started like playing with the guitar. And yet his whole mind was like, do I want to keep doing what I'm doing now? And it's like he traded in that rifle, for the guitar, and it changed his life. So that, I mean, it's just those moments, and that change where we go in our
Yeah,
life.
oh yeah. And the other thing about my course too is I really believe it's good for people who are just like what you're talking about, somebody like this man who had a whole career in something else.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate my whole life. I've done something creative my whole life with my gifts. I've been really lucky to do that.
Yeah.
Where people might wait their whole life to do that. They
Mhm.
might wait their whole life to write a song or play guitar, whatever it is. And so my course is really good for people too that are really trying to figure that out. People that are empty nesters, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yes, exactly. Okay, there's a
Yeah.
lot of you empty nesters out there. Come on, pick up the
Oh, yeah.
guitar.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, you hear all these stories of people, and I mean, it's an amazing thing that people are living long. I mean, my mother, unfortunately, was 60, but that was her death should not have happened, but it did. My dad was 93 and passed away in my arms. I mean, what better way to know that I have my connection with him?
Yeah.
People are living longer,
Yeah.
and these people
Yeah.
are doing things, they're changing their careers, or they're becoming an author, or they're doing whatever in their 80s
Yeah.
and 90s. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
folks, get
It's
off
so
that
true.
tootsie.
It's so true. And I've been at many different events and conventions where people come up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, when I retire, I'm going to write songs, and I've always wanted to write songs." And what I'm saying to people is, "Hey, don't wait till you retire.
I know.
Carve a little time out of each week or a month, or no, nobody's holding your feet to the fire, and you know, it's it's a marathon. I mean, being creative is a marathon, and it should be. You should always be trying to figure out as a creative what you can do to up your own game and do it. First of all, don't worry about making money at it. It's beautiful if you make money at it, but to
Yes,
do
true.
something you really love, because then
Yeah.
you will find the joy, and somehow the people will show up that want to pay for what you have to share. I really believe that too.
COVID changed things for us because before it was just phone calls or, being live with a red carpet interview. And then Zoom came along where we could start. I was doing a lot of interviews during COVID. I had an amazing time. So it made me feel like I like doing this, and
Yeah.
but it's like you said, I love it.
Well, you could write a course that trains people how to interview people. I mean, there's all kinds of
Wow.
things, if you start, excuse me, peeling the onion of what you really want to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it isn't just the thing that's glaringly in our face. Sometimes, if you go a little bit down a few layers, you
Wow.
find something else that's more interesting. Um, it, I just believe, like I said before, you're really an expert at this. And so you can share with people how they could do it too.
Wow. See, I tell you, sometimes our brains just kind of stops.
Right. Well,
Right?
exactly, because we think about it in one dimension, and somebody comes in and goes, "Well, what did you ever think about it like this?" Like, it's kind of like, well, yeah, you could get over there if you turn right. But if you went left, you'd see all this other stuff.
Well, I definitely got to go sign on for your course because I'm ready. I'm ready to take that next and final step.
Do it.
Do it. And all of our listeners out there. And you just reach out. Very simple to get it. She says
Yes.
KIRSTI.com.
Yes. Yes.
Spark your
Thank you so much. And
creativity.
and I and I hope that when they take the course, I will spark their creativity beyond. It'll be build a big fire for themselves, and they'll be really on fire, to share their gifts with others. I just think it's so important, and I really believe in what I put together in this course, and I think people would have a lot of fun with it. And as I said, you could take the course, and you could in a year you could go back and you could do those same exercises and worksheets and everything again, and I bet your answers would be different because you'll evolve as a creative person.
Yeah. And I love the name, spark your creativity because that's all it
Thank
takes. It's that fire, right?
That's right.
So what's next for you?
Well, I know I sound like a crazy person because I do so
No.
many things, but I'm kidding. But my husband Bill and I run a label called Lucky Sky Music here in Nashville. It's an independent
Oh,
record label, and we have two writers, and one of the writers is Tori Martin. She's also an artist on the label. She's a country music artist, and then we have another writer, Bill DeLuigi. And I write with both of them a lot. But so right now we're working on her new single that's coming out. But as for me, I'm just continuing to promote this course and write more songs. And I also perform a Carole King show, and I go out and do that. I worked on the Holland America Cruise Line in February
Oh,
in
cool.
Hawaii, which I'd never been, and it was fabulous. And so my
Wow.
husband Bill and I went on there, and I did my show there on that cruise line. But I always have a lot of creative things going on, and I have so many people that ask me about Songwriter Girl that I decided to do a pop-up event in Nashville on July 11th, coming right up here. So if anybody is listening and they're in Nashville, please come to the Songwriter Girl pop-up event. It's at the Commodore, which is the longest running songwriter night in Nashville. It's at the Commodore Grill in the Holiday Inn on
Nice.
West End, and it's from 6:30 to 7:30, and that is going to be an exciting night. I have 5 songwriter girls and women of all different ages and international. Some are from South Africa and Australia, and they're going to be performing, and we're going to do some giveaways. So it's going to be fun. But I'm going to be posting about it on my Songwriter Girl One on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. My name, Kirsti Manna, our Songwriter Girl. And also I do a little bit on TikTok. I should get more happening on TikTok, but I'm on there a little bit. But
Well,
I
make
love
sure you send
Instagram.
us send the Hollywood Times the post event stuff so we could put it up on our site, some pictures and some
Sure.
verbiage about it because it'd be fun to those of us who are out here on the West Coast that can't make it. It'd be nice to share it, after that.
Yeah.
That'd
Sure.
be
I can send
great.
you the flyer, and sometimes
Yeah,
the Californians are here writing, and then I
yeah.
can send you some pictures of what goes on after.
That'd be cool because we like to get that out. We're trying to bring all Hollywood to Nashville, so
Oh yeah. Hey, anytime you want to do Spark Your Creativity meets Hollywood Times in Nashville, let me know.
yes. I mean, I wish I'd met you when I was out there. It would have been fun, but
Yeah,
the
were you here for the CMA Fest or?
CMA Fest.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun. Isn't that a blast?
Yeah, so it was just I mean, like I said, my biggest thing was going backstage and entering through the artist entrance to be able to go backstage at the Grand Ole Opry. I
Oh,
interviewed
yeah.
Exile and Petter and
Cool.
Cash, the bluegrass band. It was just amazing. You're walking around and there goes Lori Morgan. Oh, there's
Oh,
Whitney.
I know.
It's
You
just,
know,
it's so wonderful. Everyone is so down to earth. They
oh,
love you. They love, oh,
it's great.
I
It's
love that.
great. The first time I got to play on the Opry a couple times, and I worked with an artist named Joylyn White. She was on Columbia Records, and so the first time that I got to play, it was televised, and Ricky Skaggs was the
Oh,
host, and he said, "Now he goes, the first time that people play on the Opry, it's like a big deal.
yeah.
And I'm like getting choked up and the curtain's going up, and I'm thinking, and I'm at the piano and I'm thinking, I have got to get it together here. I'm about to be on the Grand Opry. So that was pretty cool. But the first time I ever went to the Opry to listen, we had backstage passes, and Lori Morgan was on stage singing a Patsy Cline song. And Judy, it was eerie. It was
Oh,
really cool, to be backstage and hear that. But it is such a great experience. And anybody that comes to Nashville, you really should invest and buy a ticket. And the Grand Ole Opry is like a living museum. It's really cool.
yes. I mean, just to go, but like I said, I know they have backstage tours, but for me to
Yeah,
get one from your publicist was like amazing because it's like, I took a picture of the, the artist
of
entrance. I'm like,
course.
oh my goodness. And I was telling my friend who went with me, I said, oh, I wish my dad was here. I could call him. She goes, he's right here with you. I said,
Oh, yeah, he's
I
right
know.
there.
And he loves Jeannie Seeley. So get to be able to spend some time with her
Oh, yeah.
was beyond my wildest imagination.
She's
She's a
really
hoot.
cool. She was on one of those panels at the CMA Fest, and I got
Mhm.
to hear her talk. Did you see that where she was
Yes.
there with T. Graham
Tigger
Brown?
and Brown. Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah,
See, we were in the same place and didn't get to meet. Darn it.
that's crazy. Wait, I think I saw you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I
But
did.
that was a really cool panel. And oh, yeah, they were good.
You're good.
Chapel
I miss them.
Heart.
Couple
I
heart.
never heard them sing, and I loved that
Oh,
song they did. I thought it was really uplifting. It was
yeah.
really cool. T.
They're
Graham Brown, he's such a great singer.
oh,
He's so good. My husband Bill worked with him, had an opportunity to work with him a couple of times, and just said, he's just always such a pro.
I interviewed him yesterday. He's a hoot.
Wow, that's
You'll
exciting.
you'll have to watch it.
I will. That's
Yeah,
great.
I also write for Canyon Star TV.
Oh, that's
Joey
cool.
Canyon. I don't know if you've heard of Joey Canyon, but he's Canyon
Yeah,
Star TV. It's free to sign up. He started a new venture called Under the Golden Spotlight, and I'm one of the guest interviewers.
that's
So
cool.
yeah, so there's quite a few on there. So just go on to canyonstar.tv, sign up for free, put in your email, and then you could see some of my interviews on Canyon
I,
Star TV.
I would love to. I'll do that.
It's so amazing to meet you, and I know
Thank you.
you're going to change my life. So I can't wait to start
Oh,
your
that's so
course.
kind of you to say. Well, you've changed my life because we've met and you gave
A
me
new
the
friend.
yes, and you gave me the opportunity to talk about my course and my career, and I really appreciate it. And I hope it gives somebody out there some encouragement. You know, my mantra is whatever you do, stay inspired, and that's I just want people to have inspired lives.
Yes, and but you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for talking to the Hollywood Times. We will be putting this up on our YouTube channel, Hollywood Times Official, so you can have that link. I'll get that to you if you want to put on your
Yes,
social media.
I
And
would love to.
it was wonderful and a blessing to have met you.
It's a blessing to have met you, and thanks so much for the great conversation. I hope I see you again soon, and in person we can have a coffee.
That would be amazing. I look forward to it. Thank you.
All right, Judy.
Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.